I'm Lenore Beyer-Clow from Openlands, and I've had the privilege over the last 8 years to work on a landscape scale project that not only recognizes the connections between the plants and wildlife, but also identifies the importance of connecting people within this to create something new and exciting, the Hackmatack National Wildlife Refuge. At the closing of the many presentations we made about this project throughout the community, we always used a Carl Sandburg quote: "Nothing happens unless first a dream." So I will tell you the story of taking this dream from the kitchen tables to the garden clubs to Washington, D.C. So when biologists talk about the BiState region, we're hard-pressed to talk about the Tetons or Yellowstone. We don't have any painted deserts, but what we do have is a subtle landscape, small but majestic, delicate but mighty. And in the same way, the idea for a National Wildlife Refuge started out with a small, unassuming, humble group of friends and neighbors who cared about what was happening in their own backyard. They were people who hunted, fished, watched wildlife, hiked, and realized there was something special here and something special that they had, a connection to the land. We knew that we needed to help other people also make that connection. The Friends of Hackmatack were intentional about engaging people where they were at, whether that meant it was through education, recreation, or economic development, whether that meant taking Sierra Club inner city youth out into the Nippersink, whether that meant listening to conversations and concerns of snowmobilers and horseback riders, and whether that was to help local communities understand the value of the economic development and the potential for a national wildlife refuge and bringing over 200,000 visitors a year to their businesses. So our outreach began to gain traction. We had new supporters, more friends who defined their connection, and we helped define their connection for them. They turned out in droves to public meetings. We had over 90% support at those meetings that really helped Fish and Wildlife understand the value of this piece. The group coalesced. We became great friends. We had trips to Crane Fest and Bald Eagle Fest where these young girls are drawing on a picture that says, "I love Hackmatack." It gave us an opportunity to develop trust, loyalty among ourselves and each other, and really rely on each other as we move this project forward. At the same time, the Friends of Hackmatack are also workers. They have skills, talents, activities. The group had a clear goal and really got things done with perseverance and a consistent message. You'll notice I talk about that when mainly the women of Hackmatack are up on the screen. But we were ready to take the next step. No longer were we a few species, talking about a few species or a few properties. We were talking about a landscape of rolling cames, deep kettles, ancient oak groves, and timeless prairies. So then we recognized we needed to expand our connections even more. We needed to branch out to partners with expertise. The McHenry County Conservation District, who brought restoration and stewardship expertise. Trust for Public Land, who had a presence in Washington, D.C., and could move it forward from there. Sierra Club, who could motivate their membership. And Openlands, who brought the regional perspective from the on-the-ground advocacy all the way through the land acquisition piece. Our new partners at Fish and Wildlife came out first in 2009, wrote the preliminary project proposal and the environmental assessment. And really, I think we helped change their paradigm for working in local communities. They weren't used to a group of people who were so strongly impassioned about what we wanted to do to move this forward. So the result in Refuge Boundary is defined around a cores and corridors project concept. So looking at the core areas that surrounded already protected land, and then the corridors which protected those from within that. It's also by state, up into Wisconsin. And these sandhill cranes, I'm not sure whether they're walking into Wisconsin or into Illinois. But these partners also needed to learn to work together under new areas. You'll see all the different arrows going back and forth here, and this has become extremely important as we've moved through the land acquisition piece, understanding different agreements, who's going to do what, who's going to hold the property, and how we're going to move this forward. But now we're even into a bigger picture. We're beyond regional. We're looking up here at the impact of a national wildlife refuge within the Great Lakes region and the Great Lakes watershed. We've risen to national significance, and we're crossing those borders without a problem. So some of this is about getting the right people in the right place. Putting Secretary Salazar, Senator Durbin, and Ed Collins in a 4x4 at Glacial Park was perfect. It allowed the opportunity between a storyteller and a visionary to talk to a politician and an administrator and understand what was really happening on the ground and how we needed to move this forward. I admit we're going to have challenges in Wisconsin. I'm kind of glad that Representative Paul Ryan has other things to do right now than think about a national wildlife refuge in his congressional district. You'll see at the announcement, Secretary Salazar, Senator Durbin, John Wagner from IDNR, and the nonprofits all had the opportunity on August 15th to celebrate the establishment of the refuge. But this was where now we are all part of Friends of Hackmatack, from the national to the local to the regional to the state, all part of a larger group. The demarcations are gone, we have a bond formed, and we're working together. So the culmination of this journey was really a dream turned into and transferred into substance. From the very first National Wildlife Refuge, Pelican Island, in 1903 to number 557, the Hackmatack National Wildlife Refuge. We learned to dream big, to help people understand the value in their local community and be happy when people who were doubters now all of a sudden are joiners. So I encourage you to also dream big, but beware of the dreamers of the day, for they are the dangerous ones. It is the dreamers of the day that may act upon their dream with open eyes to make it all possible.